wobbler, hello. God, there we go. Hello everyone, what's happening? It's Richard Purnell here. How you all doing? I hope you're doing well. So let me proudly and excitedly introduce you the very first episode of That's right, starting this very moment, all the rest of October, I will be reviewing some of the best and maybe even some of the worst and some of the most influential horror films of all time, all across the board, starting from the very beginning of horror all the way to today, and it's going to be awesome! So here's the gist, alright? Horror has been around as long as movies have been around. I mean, some of the earliest silent film era movies are horror films. In fact, some of the early silent film era horror films are probably some of the most influential, if not the most influential horror films in the genre. And to start off this entire month-long limited series, the very first film I'm going to be reviewing for you guys from the silent film era is by far one of the most influential horror films of all time. I will be reviewing Nosferatu. So Nosferatu is a 1922 German expressionistic silent vampire film directed by F.W. Murnau, I believe his name is pronounced. Now, the film itself is pretty much an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. In fact, and don't quote me on this, but from what I've heard, this is actually the very first adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula ever made. However, because it was an unauthorized adaptation, and I mean, they tried to change enough of the story, like set it in different locations, and obviously change the character's name from Count Dracula to Count Orlok. I mean, they tried to change a lot of elements to the point where they wouldn't have to go through all of this shtick. But at the end of the day, Stoker's family still sued, and they ordered all the copies of Nosferatu to be destroyed. But apparently a copy seemed to survive this whole genocidal attack. Now we can watch it whenever we want, and it's influencing so many people, and it's insane. Also, because of this whole suing debacle thing, I believe the film is in public domain, which is probably why you can watch it on YouTube, which, by the way, I'll put a link down below to the best copy I can find, so check it out. But yeah, so essentially it is just a adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but arguably the film is a little bit more inspiring and influential to the horror genre than, say, like the Bela Lugosi Dracula was. I mean, when you think Bela Lugosi Dracula, you think just classic, you know, Halloween costume, big high collar, pale, classic, very cheesy vampire look. At least that's what I think. But when you see Nosferatu, when you see Count Orlok, it's frightening and it's shocking and it's like bleh. But while it's influential and while it's all this stuff, the big question obviously is the film any good? Not only do I think it's good, I think it's freaking fantastic. First and foremost, one of my most favorite aspects of this film, it's so visually frightening. I mean, first off, just looking at the way they designed Count Orlok, I mean, like I said, he's very striking and he's very frightening. Like, I remember when I was younger and I first saw that image, I'd never seen the movie, I didn't even know what it was. I just knew I saw that image and it gave me freaking nightmares. Like, that was probably the most frightening images I'd ever seen. And until this very day, it's still like really like shocking and embedded in my brain. And also just the film itself has some really striking images. Like, you probably have seen this a billion times in like so many different movies, but like there's a very iconic scene in the film when Nosferatu, Count Orlok, is like stalking, and then you see this like shadow of him going up this staircase, and it is one of my favorite shots of any movie ever. In fact, I tried to mimic that shot somewhat in a vampire type short film that I made, Spectre Quest, if you remember, if you ever saw it. So there you go, the movie's so influential, it's influencing young filmmakers before they even become big filmmakers. Now, again, regardless of how influential or how great I think the film is, I can totally understand and identify with the fact that modern audiences just can't get into silent films and probably won't even watch it no matter how much I recommend it. But even so, I highly recommend Nosferatu, and if you want to check out maybe like a different take on the Nosferatu version of Dracula, or if you want to like see something that's a little bit newer, I know Werner Herzog did a Nosferatu remake, I guess, from like 1977. So there was a film that came out in like the early 2000s called Shadow of a Vampire, which isn't an adaptation of Nosferatu, but more of a fictional telling of the making of Nosferatu. And I haven't seen the Herzog version of Nosferatu, but I have seen Shadow of a Vampire, and that film's actually pretty good. So yes, Nosferatu one of the most influential films. I think it's fantastic. But anyways, that's about it for this first episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. In the comment section below, what was the oldest horror film you've ever seen? But anyways, as usual, don't forget to like this video, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, directorscutradio.com, and Tumblr, and also Vine if you can. Links are all down below. And follow Carter on the Marvel Cinematic Universe channel, link down below as well. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like what you see, and favorite the video because I like it when you do that. And I will see you guys hopefully on Tuesday or Wednesday when I review The Bride of Frankenstein. Bye!